this is going to be a video that addresses good and bad form. And I've never seen anyone try to really tackle this topic. And I think it's a source of confusion for a lot of you women out there, and a lot of men as well, especially a lot of beginners. So we have this ideal form that we want people to use. Strength coaches and powerlifters, powerlifters especially, are very nitpicky about form because over time they've kind of learned what builds the best squats, the best bench, the best deadlifts. But they also know that not every two people lift the same way. You know, not everyone looks the same way because of anthropometry. Some people have long femurs, some people are short, some people are tall, some people have long arms, and these things dramatically affect how your form is going to look. However, the confusing part is probably, for a lot of women, is like, well, if I can lift more weight doing it this way, why should I do it that way? And allow me to explain. I train a lot of women, for example, in the deadlift. They are actually like stronger doing a straight leg deadlift than they are a regular deadlift. The most weight they can pull is like when they're like this right here. When their hips are even with their shoulders. And they're stronger here than if they actually get down like this. So why would they want to pull, why would they want to drop their hips low if they're weaker that way? So let's first talk about why do people use different form? Well, someone with big giant quads and short femurs, he'll probably want to do sumo deadlifts and stay very upright and use his quads to lift, he'll try to use his legs to lift the deadlift. But a slender person with long femurs and not a lot of quad mass, they can't squat that weight up. So they're going to have higher hips. So form is necessarily going to look different depending on the lifter. But there are certain things that are kind of negotiable and some non-negotiables. For example, in the squat. Alright, some people will squat down and be very upright like this, and they'll almost have like a vertical torso, and they'll lift straight up, especially Olympic lifters, especially when they wear their Olympic shoes. You'll watch them and they will be like this, powered up. Other people fold like an accordion. They will sit back, and their hips will shoot up first, and they'll turn it into a squat morning. Alright, so I was training a woman last week. Her squats were like this. This is how she looked. She would look good on her way down. She'd get to here, and then her hips would shoot up like this, and then she would go like this. So it looked like this. Well, that's how she's strongest. She does it like that because her quads are much weaker than her backside. So she leans forward, straightens out her legs, and turns it into a good morning, utilizing her hamstrings to a greater degree. Now, could she keep lifting like that her whole life? Probably. So that's one option, to just get stronger that way. But a lot of times what people think is that, oh, I use that crappy form, so I need a special exercise to help me. So she might be thinking pause squats would help me, or leg press, or front squats. But really, what it boils down to is you have to lighten the load. If you want to fix doing squat mornings, what you have to do is lighten the load up and be diligent. You've got to reinforce, you've got to change up the pattern that you've already established. So what happens is, what you need to do is come down to the bottom, okay? Do not let the hips shoot up first like that. You have to keep the trunk angle the same, like this. Come on. She can do that with lighter load. Just like that. The second she starts wanting to go like this, like that, the set stops. Every rep has to be like that. And that's how you fix that. Here's her current squat strength, doing it like a good morning. But doing it that way, upright, she's a lot weaker. Theoretically, over time, she'll build this up to be the same strength as this way. But I'm here to tell you that doesn't always happen. Some people they can't get big quads, or they have long femurs. They're never going to be as strong squatting that way. So, can you just keep doing the squat mornings? Yes, you can. But you might get hurt one day. You might get hurt because it might get to a point where you're coming down, and then you shoot up, and you go like this, and then you're like, ugh, and then you round your back like that. Ugh. So the reason why it's important to care about quote-unquote good form is that it keeps you healthy over time. Doing it the upright way uses more active muscle. You're lifting with your legs, your quad muscles. Your muscles are holding everything tight. The more you lean and round and bend, the more you're relying on ligaments and things like that. And passive muscles stretch. And that can lead to strain. So it's always good to use more muscle and use more active and keep better form. Now, with squats, another thing you'll see people do is they don't want to stay out like this and come up. Their knees want to come like this, and they typically can come down looking like this, and then as soon as they initiate the concentric phase, they'll go like this and come in. Now, a lot of people can do this just fine over time. They'll squat will look like this, they'll come in a little bit, and come back out. So they squat like this. Do they ever get hurt? Most people don't. But again, it's a slippery slope. What if they get to a point where they're going like this, and their knees are touching, That would be bad. You could start getting knee pain. So that's why you want to build good habits, and you want the knees to stay out like this. You want to build this pattern. Just like you want the trunk to stay at a consistent angle when you squat, like this. You don't want the hips to shoot up like this. Same with deadlifts. Now, torso angle has to vary. Some people with short femurs and shorter people, they line up for a squat and they're like this. They're like super upright. And their torso angle will be like this. It's crazy. Especially with the sumo deadlift. You'll see guys that are like this. And they're like straight up. Tall people, lanky people, people with long femurs and short arms. If you have long femurs and short arms, you're going to look like this when you deadlift. There's just no way around it. But in general, you don't want the back to round too much like this. So even if your hips are high, you want to make sure you're at least pulling tight. Okay? And then when you lift, again, you don't want those hips to shoot up. So if you pull yourself tight and you look like this, that's pretty high hips, that's fine. But when you lift, you don't want that torso angle to change. You don't want it to go like this. Like that. So, can you lift with a rounded posture? I do it. I've done it my whole life when I go heavy. When I go heavy, you'll see me get into position. I take a deep breath, I go, and then I pull, and you'll watch my back go like this. And then it comes off the ground. But I keep it right here. I don't let myself go to here. This is full spinal flexion. So I'm an advanced lifter who's been lifting a lot of years, and I know that here's an arch, here's full flexion, arch, full flexion. I can keep it right here. If I go to here, I get hurt. So I know I've learned how to master my body. A lot of people haven't done that. They don't have that control of their spinal segments. But the safest way is to keep an arch. So the most safest way, and the way you're using the most muscle and not relying on the ligaments and things like that, is to set up, chest up, drop the hips a little bit, pull tight, and then like this. So this way, you're not letting the hips shoot up, you're not rounding the back. So it all boils down to this. Is your goal to lift the most weight possible, or is it to work your muscles and look So make your warm-up sets stricter, and then maybe your top set of the day, you allow for some wiggle room, but make a checks and balances system. For example, film yourself. If you film yourself and you notice that your butt is shooting up, your squats or deadlifts, or you're rounding the hell out of your low back, or your knees are totally coming in, how much are you willing to let it slide? You should know that. You shouldn't just wing it. Anyway, I hope this video sheds some light on a complicated topic. If you're physique related, use good form and less weight. If you are a powerlifter, most of the time use